What's up, guys? PDC here, and without further ado, finally I will be uploading my Smogon tour games. This series I'm going to be uploading today will be versus Cosine. I'm going to try and knock them all out in one video, and I'll put times in the description so you know which game is which. And I'm also going to try and not make this so long, so we're just going to jump right into it. This is going to be the DPP game. First game of the series, and Cosine's going to lead T-Tar, and I'm going to lead with Rotom. Now, if you guys notice, the Rotom lead might be kind of telltale. For those of you who know DPP, you might already know what team this is, and this is a pretty shit lead matchup for me, especially considering he Stealth Rocks, and I miss my Will-O-Wisp, which is annoying. Judging by how he has Stealth Rocks, chances are he doesn't have Pursuit, so this means that I can switch out, probably. I go to my Sour Tines, my Nidoking. I got a nice Portishead Nyx going. So he's gonna crunch me twice against my Nidoking, which is a little annoying, and he gets the defense trap, which is also, but I probably wouldn't, that probably doesn't matter too much. So already I'm at a pretty terrible disadvantage here. I'm really not doing that hot. I honestly probably should not have went straight Nidoqueen, admittedly. What I should have done is, go to Gliscor, probably. Typically, he gets a defense drop. Typically, lead T-Tar do not carry Ice Beam. The set is probably Crunch, Fire Blast, and Superpower. He does go for the Crunch there. He does miss, so this confirms my belief that he does not have any sort of Ice Beam or Ice move to attack Gliscor with. I'm going to go for the Earthquake. He goes out to his Zapdos. Now, as soon as I see the Zapdos, I kind of get an idea of the team. This is a very common archetype of team in DPP. It's usually T-Tar, Zapdos, Starmie, Breloom, Jirachi, and the last can be Scizor or Heatran, usually. One of those two. Can also be Dragonite. It can also be other things too, but typically it's one of those three. So I'm just going to go to my Blissey response. He's going to have U-turn, so obviously Cosine prepared for the stall. He U-turns out into his Breloom, as I figured he would have. So this is kind of bad for me. Not really in a good position here. He has a great ability to just gain momentum at any time he wants. And judging how he has so many threats to Sol, I kind of thought that this game was over when I first entered it. I'm looking at this and I'm like, ah, shit, this is not good. I'm not going to be able to win this game, am I? So, my best bet here is just do some switching around. He goes for the C-Bomb again on my Rotom. On my Skarmory switch. Skarmory's probably going to be able to scare him out, as if I am fast, chances are he's going to be running away. Now, I actually have Shed Shell on this Skarmory, because I really did think Cosine was going to use Magnet Zone against me. But he doesn't, as you can tell by this team. There's probably no Magnet Zone on this. I am just going to go for the Brave Bird. The reason I went for Brave Bird was I thought that he might have been foolish and went for the Spore. I believe I was running a little speed on the Skarmory, so if he decided to go for the Spore for some reason, I could catch it and kill it. Now, he's going to U-turn out on my Nidoqueen. I used U-turn because I went to Nidoqueen attempting to, scout for, or get a little HP back. Maybe I'll hit him with a Poison Point if he goes for the U-turn, which he did, but I don't get lucky enough to get that. Now he reveals his Jirachi. Mixrachi, at that. I thought it could have been Scarf, but the chances of it actually being Scarf were pretty low. BKC is a team like this with Scarf Jirachi, but just looking at Cosine and what he uses, I figured that there was no chance. So I decided to go out to Gliscor because I did think this was going to be Elemental Punches E-Belt Jirachi, which it is, and he's going to actually switch out of his Jirachi and go up to his Zapdos. I do live in Ice Punch with this Gliscor. I just go for the Roost. I actually believe I'm max speed Gliscor, but if he's max speed Rachi, it wouldn't matter. But even then, I don't think I would have risked going for the Ice Punch there, because Earthquake, if I were him, I wouldn't want my main breaker against the team aside from Breloom damaged. So I finally revealed the full team. Cosine actually revealed to me he knew this team later on. I go to my Clef, basically my second Sponge, I don't take any hazard damage from dealing with Zapdos, so I'm in a decent enough position to go to Clef whenever I want. Now, if you guys notice, it looks like I'm pretty much being massacred right now, and in a way, I kind of am. I go for the Ice Beam as an attempt to desperately weaken this Breloom in any way possible. The only way to win this game, really, for me, at least what I thought only way to win this game, was to get up as many hazards as possible, and then just endlessly torment him with Gliscor. That was really my plan here. Now, luckily, I do manage to get a Sleep Fodder, so now Skarmory and Rotom and Gliscor can all be collectively safer together for dealing with this thing. I go out to my Gliscor as a response to this thing, and he's going to go ahead and Seed Bomb. Now, it does a pretty decent amount But Gliscor isn't incredibly afraid of Breloom. I actually have Ice Fang on this Gliscor, and I believe that I'm an Impish Nature. I'm not quite sure. I think BKC and I might have changed it at the end, but I'm going to go ahead and double out to my Blissey here, expecting him to double out to a Zapdos or some other special attacker. Blissey is the rocker on this team, so I want to get hazards up as soon as possible. He's going to go for the U-turn here. And he's going to go out into response to Jirachi. Now, when I saw the Jirachi, I was kind of like, I don't want to deal with this at all. My Rotom is weak. My Gliscor is, not going to be able to beat it. He goes with Iron Head, and luckily, God decides to be merciful, and I get the T-Wave off. If I did not get the T-Wave, then the game was over right there, and I am not exaggerating. The game was not over, it was over. And I'm really glad that I was granted that para, because after this, I have Rocks Up, and his Breloom, his Jirachi, one of his most annoying breakers, is pretty much ethered, because now, without the ability to flinch stuff, and it's being much slower, I can usually just roost off or heal off any super effective attacks. So he goes into his, Breloom, and I'm going to go out and respond to Gliscor, which, if you guys notice, is pretty weak here. And the problem here is I can't really roost on it, because C-Bomb will become super effective. But for whatever reason, Cosine decided to switch out and go to his Starmie. I guess he thought this would be an easy spin instead of just killing this, or he feared the Aerial Ace. I'm just going to roost up, so Gliscor is able to beat Breloom once again on the switch in. I decided that I could go to Rotom here, I really could. But instead I go to Blissey because I do not want my Rotom to be damaged. And if you decide to go for the Hydro Pump or attacking move, this way Rotom would not die. Starmie, it's a pretty annoying Pokemon to deal with, but for my stall, it's not. It's just that it's getting rid of the main. The only bothering thing about Starmie is it's getting rid of the hazards, which I 100% need to win this game. I'm going to go ahead and Soft Boil, get myself back up to full. Now, I can get my rocks back up against this Starmie, but it'd be really nice to just have them up 100% of the time. So I go for the Seismic Toss here. I thought he would recover because I know that Fakes is a team with Recovered Starmie. Ice Beam, Hydro Pump, Recovered Starmie, but, as it turns out, not the team. He's going to crunch me with his T-Tar. Now, the next sequence, I'm just going to speed it up here. He's going to crunch me again. As it turns out, it's actually Lumberry T-Tar, although it honestly would have been nice to still hit the Wisp because the Lumberry would have been expired and I could have paralyzed it. He's going to Sewer Power me there, and as soon as I saw the Sewer Power, I kind of realized this game is over because I don't have Rocks Up anymore. He killed me. I should have expected it. I should have predicted it. I got too greedy with the Paras and the Soft Boileds, so that was kind of my own fault there. As you guys can tell, this game is really coming to a close here. He freezes my Rotom. Doesn't really matter here. There's not much to commentate at this point, although this game does drag on for quite a few more turns, and in all honesty, as surprising as it may seem, I actually could have won this game if I played my cards much better. He goes out to his T-Tar on the Clef, which I really, it's okay because I have Gliscor to beat it completely, but I have no real way of getting Rocks Up, the most valuable hazard, and in the end, this is just such an annoying Pokemon to deal with. He has Zapdos, and I only really have one switch to it. Now, I go for the Ice Fang expecting him to go to Zapdos, but instead he goes to Starmie. I guess he figured I'd Ice Fang there, because I wouldn't have let Starmie die at that point, because it'd still be useful for Rapid Spin or just in general applying pressure, because it beats 3 out of my 4 Pokemon, and all he can just do is double switch on Clef all day to gain momentum, but he decides to not do that. As you guys can tell, I sped this up to fast, because really there's not too much going on here. I go to my Gliscor here on T-Tar. I decide to go for the Earthquake, as he decides to stay in, actually. He goes for the Ice Punch. Now, he does freeze my Gliscor, but by a stroke of luck, I do manage to get him paralyzed, and then the following turn, I manage to unfreeze. I said in the chat, unfreeze, and my wish was granted, and he misses the Ice Punch too, so that was really not that lucky, considering he froze me in the first place, but I'm going to go for the Earthquake on the Zapdos. I should have probably predicted this a lot better. Now, all I needed to predict the Earthquakes on the U-turns. If I predicted these U-turns and Earthquaked on them, I could have been in a lot better position, or Ice Fanged on the U-turns. I could have been in a lot better of a position, because I could have probably gotten a kill, as you'll see in the following turns, or in the upcoming turns. Now, I do go for the Ice Beam here, expecting him to go for the C-Bomb and over-predict, because I didn't expect him to Super Power there. Luckily, I do get the play right, and I managed to kill the Breloom as a stroke of luck. And I go ahead, and this is just going to be the next few turns. It really is. This is all it's going to be. It's going to be me switching around between Clef and Gliscor, healing Clef up, hoping that somehow I can get myself back into the game. He's going to kill the Nidoqueen there. I'm fine with it because I don't need Nidoqueen as a sleep fodder anymore, and this gives me at least a decent opportunity to heal my heal my Clef here. He can go to T-Tar, I'm just gonna go to Gliscor, and at this point, this is where it really just turns into a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth game, over and over and over and over and over and over and over, well, you know, just to counter these two Pokemon. Now, like I said, if I was not a complete pussy, if I Earthquaked here, my god, if I Earthquaked one of these sequences, I could have gotten a kill practically every time. Starmie would have died, Drachi would have died, T-Tar would have been probably really low. And if you'll notice, his last Pokemon is actually going to be revealed in a, well, if I actually predicted his last Pokemon, but I'm probably just going to reveal it now because there's really not that much to it. His last Pokemon is going to be, surprise, surprise, a Heatran, which he's not going to reveal it yet, but I'm just going to say it because I already knew it was Heatran at this point. I knew the Fakes team. And I figured it was Heatran because if it was Scizor, he would have revealed it already, probably. Or if it was Dragonite, he would have revealed it already. Because Mixed Knight kind of runs through my team at this point, but this is what the game's going to be, basically, him going back and doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling and doing this over and over and over and over and over and over and over every single turn. So I'm just going to skip a couple turns here because, as you guys all know, this is what it's going to be. The game ends, and Jaja, this is it. He does manage to catch my Gliscor with the HP Ice. I was hoping that he was going to misplay or he was going to explode in the clef or something like that and make a play. But he didn't, and that's pretty much a DPP game. It was pretty boring, so I ran through it rather fast. I just wanted to get these games out of the way. And now we're going to switch to the black and white game. Sorry, I actually clicked load there. So, here we are, the black and white game. The team I'm using is a rendition of McMegan and Lefty's Gliscor, SD Gliscor Sand Mag team. It's a little different than theirs because I have Alakazam over Slowbro, which I believe is better because it allows me to at least revenge kill stuff and makes me a little less weak to Garchomp. But yeah, I actually get Rain brought against me for the second time in a row. Interesting team. This is, again, another bad matchup for me. I have only one Water Resist, and I have 3 Water Weaks, and technically, it's not like Magnezone is really going to do that much against the Keldeo, especially if it's Expert Belt. It can't be locked into like HP Grass or Icy Wind. So really, most of my team, except for Moongus, is ran through by Keldeo. Alakazam can revenge, but I don't want to waste its sash by switching into anything. So when you have Keldeo, possibly Specs, and Politoed on the same team, it's a pretty bad matchup for Sand. Now, we're going to go ahead and see what happens in this game. So, he's going to leave me Politoed. I'm going to go ahead, actually, why is this, okay, I lagged there for a second, but alright, there you go, it's back on speed. I'm going to lead it with Landorus. Landorus Therian I know is a good choice versus him, because it's faster than pretty much everything he can send out, bar, Scarf, Landorus, or Keldeo. And it gives me a choice to get a feel for what he leads. I can get a little damage off immediately, and I can switch to a favorable matchup. So I'm going to go for the Spore on the Latios, and as I predicted when this thing came out, it was probably a Specs Sleep Talk variant. And as it turns out, as I switched to my very specially defensive Tyranitar, I was right. He goes to the Psyshock, luckily, so my T-Tar doesn't get damaged. That was a stroke of luck, and honestly, I made a misplay here. Let me tell you guys a bit why. As you're going to tell... Damn it, that's my fault. I do not Pursuit. I did have Pursuit, that's the thing. And I didn't. If I pursued the Latios, what I could have done is, that way I could have slept something else. And sleeping something else on a team like that is very valuable. Now, the reason I did this at the time, when my rationale was, if he goes to Dugtrio, I can get Rocks up no matter what, because he's not killing me with Reversal. I can get Rocks up, and, you know, Latios is not going to be a gigantic threat, and chances are he might even stay in. But he didn't, and as you guys can tell, I kind of misplayed this. I really did. If I pursued that, now that I think about it, that was a really, really, really dumb play. All I really needed to do was if I pursued that, then if I set Rocks up against the Dugtrio or something, I would have Rocks all game and have a dead Latios, and I would have something else available to sleep with a Moongus, which could have been helpful, but as you guys will see, the game, it kind of gets convoluted from here. Now, he's going to set up his own Rocks, and I do manage to kill the Dugtrio. I did show I had Pursuit there. I don't know why I pursued it. That's actually kind of stupid, but, you know, I don't know. He's going to go out of his Politoed here. I'm going to go out, too, with my Moongus. I do want to save T-Tar as a sack, because it can be very useful in that aspect. He actually crits me with Ice Beam, which is really annoying, almost as bad as a Scald Burn. It's okay. As you can tell, Cosine gets a little lucky during this series. He's going to go to his Latios, as I figured. Actually, no, I figured he'd go out to his Jirachi here, because, I don't know. I figured it was kind of a bad play on my part, because in reality, Latios was a much better choice, but he can just sleep talk and kill something, but I go out to this, I realize I have to sack my T-Tar in return, so that's exactly what I decide to do. He's going to sleep talk an actual move this time, I believe, which is Surf, so it's probably Draco's Surf, Psyshock, and Sleep Talk. My only real responses to this at this point, since I really don't have a good Dragon Resist, is my Scarflander Asterion, which I decided to go out to, and I just go for the U-turn. He's going to go out to his Keldeo, which, once again, I do not have a very good response to, and this is where I continue to misplay this game absolutely horribly. I needed to be very aggressive in this game, and sadly, I just wasn't that. But you'll see how this game turns out in the end. So he goes into his Jirachi, and I let him. I did not double the Magnezone, which really infuriated me, because that's really what I needed to do. But I didn't. I just withdraw my Alakazam here, because I don't want to take any risks, and I go straight to Mag, which, once again, is a really stupid play by me. I actually really wanted to go for Psychic there, but I didn't, and that just kind of makes me even just more mad, because looking back at this game, I played way too safe, and this really infuriates me, because I had so much room for taking risks, and I just didn't. So if you're ever in a situation like this, please take at least a couple risks, because trust me, it might end up in your court. Now, he's going to go for the Hydro Pump here. The Hydro Pump is not going to kill my Amoonguss, not even really that close. But it is going to force me to sack something in order to get Amoonguss back in the game, and that thing is Gliscor, which at this point, it didn't really do that much in the game anyway, so it was pretty okay with me. I go back to my Amoonguss, which I am desperate to heal up at this point. He decides just to go for the Hydro Pump, since Rain will be on his court for the entire game. I Giga Drain it and restore a little health, plus Regener, so I won't be dead the next time I switch him. But he's going to go out to his Tornadus here, and this is kind of where it gets tricky. I decide to go out to my Magnezone, as he decides to go for the Hurricane. Now, he does confuse me, and I can't really identify the item. I thought it was, I think it was Choice Specs, actually. No, it was either Sharpbeak or Choice Specs. It was one of those two that I thought. And I knew that he wouldn't stay in, or if he was a Sharpbeak, he would go for the Focus Blast, which he does decide to do. Now, I go out to my Lander Asterion here. He goes out to his Keldeo, and I just decided to go for, once again, the stupidly safe play in Stone Edge, which I should not have made. I know, I apologize, seriously. I keep making these pretty bad plays, and they're really punishing me. They really are. At this point in the game, I thought it was over, especially when he made that second double to Tornadus, and now I'm just like, ugh, I have so much pressure on me, how am I going to win? I realize I can't let Mag get any lower, because I still do need it to potentially kill Jirachi, so I go out to my own Alakazam. Then I decide to pump it up a little. I finally make the right play, finally, after turn after turn after turn after turn of fucking up. And I go out and double to my Magnezone. Now, as you're going to see, he goes for the Thunder, he gets a crit. He doesn't get a para, though, and I managed to fire back with a Thunderbolt of my own, which is quite a bit. He goes for the Psyshock here, and luckily it does not kill me, and I can go ahead and go for the Thunderbolt and kill his Jirachi. Now, this was really a key part in the game, because with the Jirachi dead, this does leave Alakazam, although without its Sash, room to still win the game, which is great. Now, I decided to save the Magnezone for a well-needed sack, as he goes for the Sacred Sword against my Amoonguss. Now, here I was kind of like, you know, he could double, but I really don't think he is. So he goes for the Calm Mind, and I'm just going to go for the Giga Drain. I was thinking about switching there, but when it really came down to it, I didn't see that much of a need. So it's basically him just sacrificing this Keldeo. He goes for the Substitute. It's not going to matter. He's not really going to do, you know, anything to me. I don't really need Amoonguss that much in this game anymore. He's going to go for the Hydro Pump. He's going to miss, which it didn't really matter much anyway, considering the play that he made following this. He goes to Tornadus, as I would figure he would, and he's just going to go for the Hurricane. Now, when I think about this, I probably should have sacrificed Magnezone here. I guess it was kind of a matter of turns. I remember thinking about this for a while. If I went to Magnezone here, then Magnezone dies and Stealth Rocks. I go to Alakazam, I use Shadow Ball, or whatever move I have in Alakazam, I can't remember. Or Psychic, he's not like he's switching to Latios here, it doesn't matter. So I kill the Torn as he Tailwinds. Now, he's forced to pick 1 or 2 moves. If he, well, actually, it still kind of depends, I guess, on the move. If he picks Side Shock by Sleep Talk all 3 times, I'm killing myself, but it really depends on the move, I guess. I don't know. I guess it kind of depends. What would have burnt more Sleep Talk turns? I don't know. I guess it's a kill either way, so it really didn't matter. But Amoonguss did have more potential to at least live a move, so I guess that would have been the more correct play, and that would have wasted sleep turns if he didn't wake up. So, in reality, looking back at it, if I sacrificed Magnezone, I would have kept Amoonguss, because at least Amoonguss had the higher chance to at least live a move, so that kind of makes more sense in that part. But obviously, the play here is to go Alakazam and get a kill. And he Tailwinds, and my worst fears are realized. I go for the HP Ice neutral move. If he decided to choke on Gigantic Dicks and go to Latios, I would have got damage on it. And here comes the Latios. Oh boy. Now, Tailwind is notorious for its turns of how few turns it has. Tailwind runs out really quick, surprisingly. And at this point, I'm just hoping that he wakes up early. He's still fast asleep. He still hasn't woken up. And I have a 1% Alakazam in the wings. A 1% Alakazam. If he wakes up this turn, I win. As he's locked into Sleep Talk. If he doesn't, I'm in trouble. Luckily, he manages to stay asleep. And I managed to win the second game of the series. This, I thought I was going to lose right there. I was prepared to lose post good game lost, but I didn't, by a stroke of luck. I played pretty bad that series, I really did. I could have played so much better, but I did come out on top. Now it's time, however, for the third game, the decider, the ORAS OU game. And surprise, surprise, I'm using a team that isn't mine, and Cosine is using Balance. They're both using pretty interesting teams, admittedly. I do like Cosine's team. I think the combo of Gardevoir and Kyurem V is really deadly to Balance, which he probably predicted me to bring, which I kind of did. This is definitely a more balance-oriented team. It is a team by lefties, which oddly enough, he used in the tournament earlier that day. I actually decided this team the day of the game, so it's pretty interesting. Lefties is one of my favorite ORAS OU team builders, because just of how creative and how cool his teams look, seriously. I really love this build, but anyway, we're going to start out the game. I decided to lead with my ORAS Sucks, my Heracross, and he decides to lead off with his Landorus Therian. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Rock Blast here, get a little bit of damage on it. If he's Scarf, then, you know, I don't know, I guess I threatened something. A Rock Blast, even at -1, is still going to do a decent amount, whatever switches into it, especially considering how frail his team is. He's just going to set up Rocks, though, because this is a defensively oriented Landorus Therian. I do get a decent amount of damage on him, though, which I am pretty proud of, so good job, Heracross, on that. That's pretty cool. I managed to put it down to below 50%, but now he sends out his Gardevoir, which is indeed a much bigger threat. This thing is deadly. This thing could destroy my whole team. Now, the reason I went Slowking here first is because, honestly, I thought he would try and go for the Focus Blast, but he doesn't. Instead, he decides to Hyper Voice right off the bat and do a shit ton of damage to me. That really hurt. So I switch out of my Slowking, and I decide to go out to my Ferrothorn. Now, he could have Focus Blasted and ruined my chances of winning this game at any time. Now, he's not ready to risk the Focus Blast yet, so he decides to switch out, and this gives me the opportunity to just Gyro Ball and now get up Rocks. Gardevoir is still a really big threat that I'm really worried about, but it's gone for now, and that's all I'm, you know, that's really all I can look forward to. I can also manage to get up Rocks here, which is good. He does manage to knock me off, though, which I don't really appreciate, because now Ferrothorn isn't really going to be countering anything. It's not going to be able to switch into Kyurem, do anything at all, really. Now, I do manage to get my Heracross in this time, as he decides to go for the spikes on Ferrothorn. I don't have a way to remove hazards on this team, so obviously this is pretty tedious and annoying to deal with, especially considering how weak and annoyed my team is by hazards. He decides to go to his Landorus Therian there. This is just going to be a sacrifice, and this is going to be Heracross's first kill. Luckily, I didn't miss there with the Rock Blast. That would have been really annoying. But we're going to see the Landorus Therian go down, and probably the Gardevoir coming in. He could have went Kyurem B, but Gardevoir was definitely the better decision there, considering he wasn't probably going to risk the 25%. Now, I do have the Gardevoir sack on deck, which is the Ferrothorn. Now, luckily, this team does have a way to deal with Gardevoir, kind of, and it is in 2 Scarfers, in Landorus and in Heatran. So I send out my Landorus, and I realize he doesn't really have a sturdy ground resist going on here, so I just decide to fire off an Earthquake. I don't bother U-turning, I just go for it. Now, when I see this Kyurem B, the first thing that popped into my mind is, this is potentially Scarf Kyurem. I'm sorry for I'm saying it, but I'm never going to say Kyurem. I'm just going to say Kyurem. I'm sorry. So the first thing that pops into my mind is, this is probably a Scarf set, and this could potentially kill me here. But I remember thinking, honestly, fuck it, because if this guy is not Scarf, I'm going to be punished a million times more. And in a team like this, the chances of it being Scarf are absolutely abysmal, so I just decided to fucking go for it and Earthquake him. And when I see the Kyurem die, I'm like, okay, this really isn't that bad. I'm actually in the game again. I have the potential to actually manage to win this game. Somehow, but I do. Now he goes up to a Starmie here, either to remove hazards or to fire off a... I had to pause it there for a second, sorry guys, but like I was saying, he has to go Starmie here to either spin or fire up a Scald. He decides to go for the Rapid Spin to get rid of hazards. I can't reset them, so this is going to free Talonflame from any hazard-related constraints. And he decides to Scald, and I just decide to go for it and go for the CB Hyperspace Fury, which is going to kill Starmie about 5 times over? Actually, I don't really know. I think when I'm actually burnt, I don't even think CB kills. Worrying. But he's going to go to his Gardevoir here, and if you can notice, Cosine lost another mon on his team, which is pretty good for me. I'm really just dwindling down his numbers and keeping pressure up. So he's going to go Guard. I'm just going to sack the Hoopa. I don't have any use for it anymore whatsoever. And now, I'm going to bring in my Landorus Therian. Now, this Landorus can keep quite a bit of pressure on him. He decides to switch out and go to his Talonflame, which I expected, and I just decided to go for the U-turn. I was thinking about Earthquaking, but I realized that me being punished by him going for, I lost my train of thought, but I realized if I Earthquake there and he went to Talon, I was going to be punished pretty hard by that. So, it turns out he's especially defensive with Talon. Big surprise, right? And he's just going to go ahead and burn me. I believe this, at first I'm like, okay, this can either be a SD taunt set, or it can be a Wisp SD taunt. I don't know. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, because this game gets really heated in a couple of turns. Now, Slowking is actually losing the battle here. I decide to save it for maybe a sack. I go to my Landorus Therian here, and he decides to go for the Swords Dance. Now, when I saw this here, I realized, he really cannot risk letting this die. So he's going to go for Oathorn. And luckily, I made the right play. And I double the Heracross on it. I send Heracross into a +1 Talon. And then I decide to Rock Blast the Gardevoir switch. And I managed to put myself back in the game. So he goes Talonflame again. And I save Heracross. I decide to go straight out to my Heatran here. Now I could have Rock Blasted. And as it turns out, he actually does go for the Swords Dance. So I could have stayed in and Rock Blasted. And that probably would have been, I guess, an okay play. But actually, what am I going to reveal? I have HP Rock on this Heatran, which will outstall Roost 100% of the time. So meaning, he cannot beat me by Roosting. Cosine was pretty surprised that I didn't have Ancient Power, but he's going to go ahead and go to Ferrothorn and HP Rock. And now comes the turn of truth, really. Cosine can double on me effortlessly, because Talon's not taking any hazard damage. And if he keeps SDing up, eventually Heatran will be a bit too weak to actually manage to deal with Talonflame. And Landorus Therian as well. So I really had to choose here what to do. I knew that he could Leech Seed me. I knew he would not knock me off. It was either Leech Seed or nothing. A Leech Seed or double. One of those two plays. I also realized that Cosine has been playing kind of safe this game. Kind of. He really hasn't made that many big plays, and I managed to keep some good pressure on him. So, here comes the turn of truth. If he doubles the Talonflame here, this is going to put me in a very bad position. Because I'm not really going to be able to beat it anymore because the amount of hazard he has on my side of the field. So what do I decide to do? I decide to HP Rock the incoming Talonflame and kill it. And that's going to be it. ORAS sucks indeed, but not this game. This was one of the best ORAS games I've ever played, and one of the best series. And that's it. Good game. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Obviously, Heatran's gonna OHKO this thing. Heracross gonna OHKO this thing. I even get the last minute burn, which I thought was pretty funny, but that's gonna be it, guys. So, with that, I managed to win my Smogon Tour top 8 game. Just like that, I managed to do it. And now I'm in the semifinals. And I know I'm going to be facing McMegan. So I know that I'm going to be in store for quite a hard series. But with this, I'm going to break any record I've ever done in Smogon Tour, and I get the furthest I've ever been into it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the series. If you caught it live, you knew how exciting it was, and if you were me, you knew how nerve-wracking it was to be playing at such a high level against someone who's really good. So anyway, I'd like to thank you guys all for watching this. I don't believe anyone else covered this series on YouTube, so this is, I don't think anyone else has covered this, so this is completely new commentary. If you guys missed it, then here it is, obviously. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and also if you watched it to this length, thank you for putting up with my kind of shitty commentary in this video, and me forgetting my train of thought like 20 times, but I realized I had to do this. I didn't want to do any more laddering videos in a row, because I realized that would kind of get annoying if I just put up the same video over and over and over and over and over. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.